Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something genuinely chilling. We're going to unpack the twisted, super dark plot of the South Indian horror thriller The Past 2025. If you're a fan of psychological twists, the kind that really mess with your head and intense supernatural battles, you're in the exact right place. We're going to trace exactly how a perfectly relaxing getaway just spirals into an absolute nightmare.
I mean, just listen to this desperate, terrifying scream from the film's climax. "I won't leave this house. I won't leave her body." Wow, right? This isn't just your standard run-of-the-mill ghost trying to spook people. No, this is an entity that wants a completely new physical body, a new life, and it is willing to fight tooth and nail to keep it.
Which brings us to part 1, The Haunted Bungalow, a vacation turned nightmare.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We've got a novelist named Simran. She heads to this secluded, kind of creepy Lonavala bungalow with her sister Alia and some friends. It's supposed to be a quiet retreat so she can finish her book. Well, almost immediately, that getaway is totally shattered. The group starts hearing these weird, strange voices echoing down the halls, chanting Om. Then, unexplained apparitions start popping up in the dark, dusty basement, and dolls. Yeah, creepy dolls moving entirely on their own. But the scariest part? Simran starts falling into these sudden, deep trances. She's experiencing missing time. Now, in the real world, that's often the psychological response to severe trauma. But here, it's something way more sinister. She literally wakes up down in the basement with absolutely no memory of how she got there, thinking someone must have hit her on the head. You can just feel the atmosphere tightening like a vice.
And what makes this truly terrifying is how the haunting just zeroes right in on Simran. It escalates into a full-blown demonic possession. Imagine waking up to find yourself completely unrecognizable. Simran goes from this focused, totally normal writer to someone who is caught literally gorging on raw meat, raw chicken, stuff she would absolutely never touch normally. And when her friends try to drag her away from the house, she violently fights back, screaming that she'll never leave. At this point, the entity is completely behind the wheel.
This leads us right into our next phase. Enter the expert and uncovering the entity. So the group realizes they are way out of their depth here. They bring in a paranormal expert named Zane, and eventually a Holy Father steps in to help too. Zane immediately diagnoses this as a severe, massive supernatural threat. He discovers that the entity using Simran as a human shield actually has a name. But who exactly is Sanjana, and why on earth is she so furiously angry? Well, buckle up, because Sanjana is the missing wife of the bungalow's owner. Yep, the exact same bungalow they're renting. To make sense of all this chaos, we've got to look back at her deeply tragic backstory.
And that brings us to the husband's dark secret, a dual life.
Look, we all keep secrets, but imagine your biggest, darkest secret manifesting as an actual demon. To understand this vengeful ghost, we have to look at the bungalow's wealthy owner, a guy named Yuvraj, and a devastatingly hollow marriage. See, Sanjana went into this marriage with all these beautiful romantic hopes, unwavering devotion, and a strong desire for a traditional life. But the hidden reality? Yuvraj had absolutely zero romantic interest in her. None. He was practically forced into the marriage by his parents just to keep up appearances, all while secretly continuing his affairs with men. Sanjana was utterly trapped, just watching her dreams shatter, while her husband lived a complete double life.
When she finally gets the courage to confront him about his affairs, his response is just brutally cold. He flat out says, "I am into guys. I was not interested in marriage." He doesn't apologize. He offers no empathy whatsoever. He basically just tells her to get used to it. And this callous, icy rejection, that was the absolute breaking point for Sanjana. The sheer betrayal and profound isolation literally push her over the edge.
It is honestly chilling how one massive hidden truth can spiral into a complete catastrophe. Let's trace this timeline. It starts on day 1 with this forced, empty marriage. A few months later comes the devastating discovery of Yuvraj's infidelity and secret life. A year later, the unbearable heartbreak leads Sanjana to take her own life, leaving behind a suicide note that explicitly blames Yuvraj for her death. Now, fast forward 5 years, we find out that instead of calling the police, Yuvraj hid the whole thing. Terrified of being blamed and exposed, he secretly buried her body in the very basement of that bungalow, filed a fake missing persons report, and, without realizing it, trapped her furious, restless soul inside the house forever.
Now we reach the climax, the ultimate exorcism, a literal battle of souls.
As you can guess, asking this furious spirit to just nicely pack up and leave? Yeah, that's not going to work. To defeat the entity, Zayn and the father have to rely on some highly dangerous elemental logic straight out of ancient folklore. Step 1, they have to identify the conduit. Turns out, Sanjana entered Simran's body through some specific clothes she found and wore in the house. Step 2, which is absolutely the most dangerous part, they have to retrieve Sanjana's hidden ashes from that terrifying basement. Finally, Step 3, armed with those ashes, they perform these intense holy water and fire rituals. As Zayn puts it, they literally have to fight water by water and fire by fire to strip the entity of its power. But here's the catch. Rituals mean absolutely nothing if the victim just gives up. This turns into a brutal, internal battle for Simran. The exorcism is incredibly risky because Sanjana is using Simran's physical body as armor. If the experts make even one tiny mistake, Simran will die. It requires Simran to somehow wake up internally and fight the spirit from within her own mind, pushing through agonizing pain while the father is chanting these prayers. It's this incredibly tense, gripping tug-of-war for survival. And against all odds, she actually fights back, and Simran is finally freed.
Finally, we arrive at a chilling aftermath and eternal penance.
So the horrible ordeal is over, and understandably, Simran's group packs their bags so fast to leave this cursed place forever. But Yuvraj makes a very different, deeply chilling choice. Carrying the immense, crushing guilt of ruining Sanjana's life and desecrating her resting place, he says, "True feelings never die. I will stay here. Sanjana is with me." He refuses to leave the haunted house. He actively decides to stay there completely alone, living side by side with the furious ghost of the wife he destroyed.
So what do we make of this? Is this a fitting punishment for what he did, or just the absolute beginning of a terrifying new nightmare? Has Yuvraj condemned himself to an eternal penance, choosing to be haunted as payback for his sins? It's a fascinating look at how guilt can become its own literal and psychological prison. Thank you so much for exploring this dark explainer with me today. And remember, keep questioning the shadow.